05, the board previously met in closed session. I'd like to call to order the September 24th, 2024 Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. Board previously met in closed session under exception C1, C11, and C10. With that, I'd like to call for a roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah. Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
I don't know what that is, Ms. Hannah. I'm sorry, can you continue with roll? What was the last name?
President Ewing.
Yes. All right, we do have all board members currently present. We do have a quorum. Like that, I'd like a motion to resume open session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right, we are back in open session. Dr. Cuevas, if you do us the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, opportunity for President's Report. It has been a very, very busy time. So since last time we were together, I was able to go to homecoming and participate in the homecoming parade, which was a lot of fun, along with some of my fellow board members. I also was able to attend many different events throughout the community, but a fun one, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it soon, was our class of 1974 50-year time capsule. So that was a lot of fun over at AOEC. And as we've started off the year, I do want to just take this moment to remind everybody that schools are supposed to be a safe space, and that's just not physically safe, it's also emotionally safe. And one of the ways that we help keep our building safe is making sure that we are not bringing any weapons or look like weapons into our buildings. And so as we continue moving into the school year, I'm asking for the entire community as well as our parents to make sure that we are reinforcing that with our students at home. Outside of that, I want to reserve the remainder of my time. I do want to move on to item 6B, our student board member report. And we do have both of our student board members present. So if you all would like to stand.
Is this on? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our second board presentation made by me and Melanie. If you can go to the next slide. Our overview this week is improvement, our 5-year transformation plan, and our student advisory. Some of the major improvements that we have seen overall in these past couple of weeks has been that our hero system has been updated and has been running, which has been a really huge success. Security has been more effective as a result. There have been fewer fights and more students have been getting into class on time. And disciplinary follow-ups have been effective.
Hi. This Thursday was my first student advisory meeting. It was wonderful.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, I know you guys have different tones, so they just playing with.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. It was really fun. It was really like the people that were really awesome, really supportive.
It might be the switch.
Red light. Red light to green. Oh, that one?
Hi.
Okay. Battery.
It was really fun. You know, a lot of people were really welcoming. It was my first year. So basically we meet up, and this is like a group of students that we meet up with the principal like twice a month, maybe 3, I think. And we just we have a meeting about stuff that we could do to improve the school and things to help the community as a school. And this Thursday was my first time being introduced to the 5-year plan as well. I'm gonna show you everybody in case Principal Hill, he told me that it was presented to the board, but just in case, a little refresher. Next. Next slide, please. Okay, so our first is so it's 5-year plan. So every single year we're gonna be focusing on each individually, and it's supposed to like construct and like build a good foundation. Because if we try to focus on everything at all, it can be like a little bit chaotic and it won't really be as effective. So first year this year is curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Second year will be student culture. Third year will be student support and services. Fourth year would be post-secondary and college career readiness. Our fifth and last year would be staff culture and leadership. Okay, so for the first year, section 1, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. So we have 5 points that we want to cover and hit for this year. This is going to be our major goal for this year. Data-driven instruction, DDI, a weekly data meeting with all the staff and teachers, so we can see like the data from like assessments of the students, and after that we can get the feedback. We observe, get the feedback. When we like have everything set now, we now have professional development, which is, okay, so what's the next step? What are we gonna do from this, and how can we improve? Planning/instructional culture, which is kind of the same thing. We make a plan, like from all the data that we have gotten. Fifth is developing and ongoing opportunities for family community to engage, because we do think that families have a major part in the students' education, and if families are involved, the kids are gonna do better overall too. Okay, last, Bulldog Olympics. This was this Saturday. Brianna sadly couldn't go because she had a competition for band, but this was me. Our company got best T-shirts. This is for part of JOTC that they have yearly. It's really fun. All the companies get to compete with each other. It's 9-8 companies: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, HQ, Hotel, and this year we have a new company, which is India. We all got to compete. There's three like categories that you can win: best company, most motivated, and best T-shirts. And like I said, we got best T-shirts, so I was really happy about that. It's a really fun like little competition thing with the JOTC community. Yeah, I liked it. But that's it. Thank you.
All right, so next up is our spotlight on 60, so if we can get that queued up.
I'm excited that everybody's excited about it, because we don't know what we're going to find when we open it up, so it could be weird or it could be really cool. I'm counting on really cool. But I'm glad to see some of my friends and neighbors, coming in and being excited about it.
An amazing support. I'm really pleased to see that all the people, the school staff, everybody, the new son, everybody come out here to help support us with this event. It's an amazing event. It's timely, but it's something that needs to be done, and we need to get this done and find out what's going on in our life going forward.
Still live in Waukegan, and to see people from my hometown come out and see the importance of this, it's great.
It's important that every school have some type of event of this nature to bring everybody back together, to renew some of their friendships, their history, understand where they're at in life, what's going on in life.
to share their moments in life. It's really important at this point in life.
Super important for the community to come out and support the class of 74, just even for our own students to see what life was like back then, to connect maybe some people who haven't been here on school property in a while and just remember how special Waukegan Public Schools is.
I'm really grateful to the school district and the people who have come together for us to let us be part of this. It's a bigger deal than I first thought, and I'm thrilled that I'm here, and I'm excited about everybody else being here too. And I.
From the moment the class of 1974 reached out to us and said, hey, we've got this time capsule buried at the high school. What can we do? How can we get it out? Gerardo Gordillo, who those of you who don't know works at the high school as the parent and communications facilitator, ran with it. Gerardo worked with operations to find ways to dig it out of the ground, to open it up, to invite the community to come out and to partake. And he could talk a little bit about what was found inside in like really pristine condition.
Yes, so on Friday we exhumed the time capsule and pulled out a lot of goodies. Some people were a little underwhelmed that there's a lot of paperwork in there, but as we know, readers are leaders, and September is get a library card, so make sure you get your library card. And while going through the time capsule, we're about 80% of the way digitizing it, still making progress on then going from a high-res static image to then a PDF, so then we could OCR it, and that way you'll be able to find specific texts and do better research with said materials. We found a cassette tape, and the first track on that is School's Out by Alice Cooper. Right. Other fun stories in there. There was a competition for Secretary of the Year, and the secretary that won that year, she tells about in the typing test section of the competition, she broke a nail and then continued to insert that nail in her letter, and that's in one of the binders there for people to peruse.
On the typewriter, huh?
For those interested in seeing how our curriculum has changed, there is a copy of our course offering guide in there from 1974. There's, as in the video you noted that there's a student wrote an essay regarding the fashion of 1974, and as a art history major, I was intrigued by the essay that was included in the student saying that I see fashion going back about 20 years ago, and it's just like a pendulum. Everything comes in waves. But yeah, any questions, comments, concerns? Any other stories?
Go ahead, Miss Fabian.
I just want to know who bought the tape player? Who had the forethought to know that you needed to play a cassette?
No, well, so the tape, I didn't know that the cassette tape was in there. Originally, there was a misunderstanding that the time capsule was from the science fiction club. And in looking through the yearbook, there's no such thing as a science fiction club at that time. This was actually a part of an English class, and the whole class started synthesizing on those ideals. If you're on Spotify, I was able to find all the tracks on the cassette tape and actually make a playlist. So if you look up Waukegan High School Time Capsule 1974, you'll find it there. Lots of Alice Cooper, The Beatles, Three Dog Night.
All I want to say is they don't build things like they did in the 70s. It took about 30 minutes to get into the sucker. And everything, as we said, was found in pristine condition, right? So yes. Super exciting. Love to have individuals back. There were people who flew in from out of town for that 50-year celebration, and so we're excited, and thank you for your efforts and all those who came out and attended. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, we are at item 8A, approval of the minutes for the special open session meeting of September 17th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hannah. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. It's now our opportunity for public comment. If you signed up on the public comment sheet, I'm going to call the names 3 at a time. I do ask that you come up and get in line as I want to remind all of our speakers of civility, and then I ask that you refrain from mentioning student and staff member names in your remarks. If you need translation services will be provided to you, and you'll get an additional 3 minutes for a total of 6 minutes to allow for the translation. And if I mispronounce any names, please correct me at the podium. First 3 names are Tiffany Verzani, Jennifer Cordova, and Ray Vukovic in that order.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Verzani, and I'm the director of Waukegan Public Library. Before I get started, I want to let everybody know the library does have a collection of high school yearbooks, so if you're fascinated by all of this, come in and see. We've got going back to the 30s. Waukegan Public Library is happy to be here tonight to share information with the superintendent and the school board that will support students and families during the school year and summer months. At the start of each school year, the library delivers a bag of books and information packets to each school. The packet that we provided this year is being handed out to you, and the bag of books Jennifer will kind of show while I'm speaking. In the packet is information on how students and teachers can get a library card, the library card permission forms for parents, information for teachers on classroom visits, field trips we can provide, and we also have delivery of books and other materials for the classroom that we can drop off with our new van. In addition, we included handouts on our online resources, including homework help, language learning, how to access downloadable ebooks and e-audiobooks on our free app, and even the free Museum Adventure Pass program that we offer. We're also excited to share information on new initiatives that can have a positive impact on the community and support the growth and learning of our students and their families. The library has a new mobile services van, and it is available to come to special school events and, again, do book loans, classroom deliveries to our teachers. At the main library, we also offer use of a sensory room and a specialized collection for kids, families, teachers, therapists, anybody in need of a focused space for their neurodivergent family members, a place for self-regulation, mindfulness, to meet with support service personnel. The library also just launched last week a private ADA accessible telehealth booth with a laptop, a webcam, and vitals equipment. And that is for any member of the public to make an appointment with their chosen healthcare providers, but also we know for students, for families, for wellness checks, for mental health visits, that is all available to the public. And also with the support of our Library Foundation, we're launching a makerspace this year, and we'll have a laser cutter, embroidery machine, t-shirt press, video editing equipment, and we're trying to build that out so that will provide students with a lot of increased opportunity for STEM learning or their own artistic endeavors and pursuing of hobbies. September is Library Card Sign-Up Month, so anybody who comes in and gets a card throughout the rest of the month will get a special gift, but no matter if it's this month or any time during the school year, library's doors are always open, and we're excited to build more partnerships with the schools. Jennifer's going to say the same thing in Spanish. Oh, yes.
I just want to know.
Well, not Ms. Hannah. Sorry. So we're going to go, Ms. Cordova, if you want to, we'll just give you 3 minutes since we're not going to do translation as it already is translating the previous message.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Oh.
Because you're just doing Spanish, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to, okay.
Yep. So 3 minutes instead of 6. Normally, if someone needed translation, we would do 6 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm going to just say everything Tiffany said, but in Spanish. Just wanted to repeat that so everyone knows. Hola, buenas tardes. Yo me llamo Jennifer Cordova. Trabajo en la Biblioteca Pública Waukegan. La Biblioteca Pública de Waukegan está feliz de estar aquí esta noche para compartir información con todos ustedes, para apoyar a los estudiantes y las familias, no nomás durante el año, pero también en el verano. Ya que comenzó el año escolar, la biblioteca entregará bolsas de libros y folletes a todas las escuelas. Hemos preparado un paquete similar para ustedes con información sobre cómo los estudiantes pueden agarrar una tarjeta de la biblioteca, también para los papás información sobre programas, también para los maestros cómo podemos hacer el servicio de entrega de libros a su salón. También incluimos folletes sobre nuestros recursos en línea, cómo ayudar con tarea, también para aprender un nuevo idioma, libros electrónicos y audiolibros, y nuestro programa gratuito de pases para museos. Queremos compartir información sobre todas las nuevas cosas que ahorita están pasando en la biblioteca pública que pueden beneficiar la comunidad y apoyar a todos los estudiantes y papás. Ahorita en la biblioteca, con nuestra nueva camioneta de servicios móvil de la biblioteca, estamos disponibles para ir a eventos escolares y también hacer entrega de libros. En la biblioteca pública principal, ahorita tenemos un nuevo sensory room y tiene una colección especial para niños, familias. Maestros, estudiantes pueden ir a hacer citas, pueden usar el cuarto para un espacio tranquilo. También tenemos una nueva cuarto de telehealth, y eso es un cuarto que es privado, donde uno puede hacer sus citas del doctor en la computadora. Adentro del cuarto tiene cosas como para pesarse, tiene la computadora y es totalmente gratis para usar. También este otoño, gracias a nuestra fundación, vamos a tener un makerspace. Tiene cosas como para hacer blusas, vasos, y es gratis al público. Cualquier persona lo puede usar, y también es un buen lugar para estudiantes usar su creativity. Septiembre es el mes de inscripción de las tarjetas en la biblioteca. Los que se inscriban este mes recibirán un regalo gratis, pero no importa si vienes este mes o otro mes, la Biblioteca Pública de Waukegan siempre está lista para ofrecer libros, apoyar a los maestros, las familias, la comunidad y trabajar juntos para lograr nuestras metas. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vukovic.
Good evening. You passed a set of minutes for the last meeting, and you still haven't passed them from the August 27th meeting. So, as of tonight's meeting, after tonight, you're late. So I hope you'll deal with that at the next meeting. At the student achievement meeting last week, there was a lot of conversation about conference and travel. And when you add up the amount that's on the agenda tonight, it's close to $200,000, $170,000. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's a lot of money. Now, the reasoning you gave for not having a second officer in the school was the cost. That would cover that officer for the full year, 170 days. Conference and travel, if it's for the classroom teacher, it's a good thing. But some administrators that are on their second or third trip, you need to put a stop to it. You've kind of put the community on notice that there's going to be a tax increase this year. If you're going to try to mitigate that, you got to do it every week and find some ways to try to save some money. Just because you've done it in the past doesn't mean you need to do it now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Next three names in order are Randy Sebecki, Rachel Durham, and Kay Hanna.
Good evening, everyone. So I also wanted to piggyback on the conferences. There was a lot of discussion at the student achievement meeting, and they're all on the agenda. The total amount is $164,550.73 for 19 conferences. And that's not including the last board meeting, the board meeting before that, where we approved multiple conferences. You know, we talk about tax increases. This is a low income, a lot of single families. We do need to start watching our spending. And one that really puzzles me is the one, especially in Chicago, for $33,000 for lodging and everything else. We bought three brand new buses. We can carpool. After your conference, you can come back, get up early in the morning, and go back. It's a 45-minute drive. And before we get kicked back about that, and Saying that, we have administrators that live in Chicago that go to this district. Do they come to the district during their work week, get a hotel here and stay all week and then go home? No, they drive back and forth every day. That's what we need to start doing. We need to watch it. And it's the same people always, year in and year out, going on to conferences. We need to mix it up. If we're going to be doing conferences, it should be the frontline ones that are actually interacting with the students, going on to conferences. Second, I want to talk about was the community forum that we had tonight over at Washington campus. As a district, we can do better. For one, y'all put out emails and everything else. You didn't tell anybody where to enter the building at. We went to door 1, which is the front of the school. It was locked, couldn't get in. Standing out in the rain trying to figure out how do we get in the building. 2, we went up there. That wasn't a community forum. It was pre-selected questions answered to the panel, and then you had to use your phone, scan a QR code to submit a question. We talk about phones in the schools and everything else. So why don't we just start let the kids just have their phones in schools, and we just start giving their tests with a QR code and they can submit their answers. Not everyone knows how to use QR codes. Ain't no problem with just raising your hand and asking the questions when it's questions and answer time. And then my other problem there is a photographer. Why do we have to have, at a community forum, a photographer taking all these pictures, walking around the room taking multiple pictures? For what? To say we did it? It's not needed. To have a conversation with the community, that's why people don't show up to this stuff. Why? Why do we need all these pictures to say we held a community forum? It's ridiculous. We can do a lot better.
Rachel Durham. All right. Kay Hannah.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to address a couple of things. I'm usually coming up here talking about safety and things like that. I don't have a bad report. The report that I'm getting from safety is that they're good. That's what I'm hearing. So kudos to the head of security. I can't say any names. No complaints with that. But I do have a complaint about 2 calls or 2 messages that I received in my Facebook inbox about bullying not being taken serious in the schools. I had one parent that was livid, like that she's been talking to the school, the teacher, the principal, things like that, and she could not get any resolve. The resolve that she got was the student that was bullying her child would be moved, and it never happened. Her child was kicked, spit on, hair pulled, amongst other things. I can't think of everything, but she was livid. Her child came home last Friday with a scratch across her whole neck, but she didn't get any resolve before this student did that. She complained and complained and complained, and they wrote it off. When are we going to take bullying seriously? Is it going to be at the next meeting where the superintendent gives an apology or condolences to a family because this child did something? Or is it going to be that the board president makes a statement about the community? When are we going to do something before something tragic like that happens? Before another child is committing suicide? There's an article in the Chicago Tribune where Illinois has the highest rate among suicide deaths between ages 10 and 24, I believe, or 10 and 14, I'm not sure on the exact age. But one of the board members has personal experience with suicide. When are we going to take it serious? I want to thank the administrators for being responsive to me. I'm not going to name them because I may need to reach out to them again, but I thank them for being responsive. But where's the resolve for the people that don't have an advocate that can call me where I can call and get some help and resolve? We need to do better. We need to take it seriously before parents start taking things in their own hands and we have another incident where a parent is pushing through the door trying to solve the problem themselves at the school. We need to take it serious when the student is complaining and when they're not getting any information or any resolve with parents complaining.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Final two names this evening are Rayon Edwards and Luz Aquino.
Good evening, everybody. I too went to that community forum, and I appreciate y'all guys for the effort. But, you know, oftentimes we talk about the lack of communication. And so today what I seen was a panel discussion. That is not a town hall. And so we need to be careful with the word choice. Because at a town hall, I come to engage. What I listened to today was a panto. Answer questions that it looks like they already knew. We have 2 school board members now. And I didn't see neither one of them on there, but I seen another student, right? And then we stood outside, me and Randy and probably 5 other people that just decided to go home because we in the rain. Nobody is at the door at all. But I want to talk about something because 4 hours ago, earlier today, police arrested somebody in Highland Park, y'all, at the school. It was a kid that brought a gun in special education. They have metal detectors and they have SROs. Once again, I'm saying it. Until our local police department get a relationship with the community, it's not going to work. And that's the truth. But what I want to talk about is to this board. And in 2022, I don't think the new member was on here, correct? Correct. So excuse me, new members. But the rest of y'all, I'm angry as hell at y'all. Because today, as I do every day, I sat in the courtroom and I seen that video of that substitute teacher. He beat the hell out of our kid. He whooped him on a new level. I used to gang bang. What I seen on that video, if that child belonged to me, I would be in prison because somebody gonna feel the wrath. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, I'm puzzled as to how did he get through HR? Because I have to call some HR consultants today to ask some questions. Because even with his social security number, you could have got his address. With his address, you could have found out where he last worked. HR dropped the ball, y'all. That boy head got dragged into the desk, into the window. And they played that video in that courtroom today. I'm looking at the people facing the jury box. They disgusted and they wondering who's protecting our kids. HR dropped the ball, and I'll be glad when y'all talk about the report that y'all hired a firm to do on HR that y'all still haven't shared with this community at all.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Ms. Aquino. And if we get 6 minutes up on the clock.
Buenas noches, gracias por la oportunidad que me dan hoy. Vine corriendo de otra junta que tuvimos en Brookside, pero gracias por esta oportunidad.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to letting me speak today. I was at another meeting at the Brookside campus, so I do thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today to you.
Estoy aquí porque estuve igual que otros padres que están aquí en la junta de hoy a las 4.
So I am here today because along with many parents, I was also at the meeting that was held at 4 o'clock today.
Realmente no sé cuál es el propósito de esas juntas.
And to be honest, I'm not sure what the objective is of those meetings.
Si el propósito es ustedes informar a los padres, creo que no lo están haciendo bien.
If the objective is to inform the parents, I don't think that you're doing a good job.
Nos están limitando el tiempo.
You are limiting our time,
Creo que vemos muchos padres que tenemos preguntas.
and it seems that there are a lot of parents that have questions.
Yo no sabía hasta hoy que llegué que tenía que usar un psicólogo para hacer mi pregunta.
And I didn't know until I got to the meeting that I had to use some type of code to ask a question.
Creo que deben de tomar en cuenta que muchos padres no están familiarizados con usar psicólogo.
And I think you need to take into account that many parents are not familiar with those types of codes.
Si ustedes realmente quieren tener informados de las nuevas pólizas, los padres tienen que
If you really want to inform parents of the new policies,
saber cómo piensan estos padres, saber qué tanto de tecnología saben los padres.
you need to know what parents think and whether they know how to use the technologies.
No tienen que suponer, y el papá ya sabe y yo voy a poner esto. No, no, no. Eso,
You don't need to assume that the parent knows how to use it.
lo que yo vi en esta junta hoy es que no conocen a la comunidad y es una tristeza.
So from what I came away from that meeting is that's not really for the community, and that's very sad.
Si nada más van a hacer la junta por compromiso, por responsabilidad, pues mejor no la hagan.
If you're just going to hold a meeting just because of a commitment or something, a commitment that you had to do, then it's better to not have it at all.
No pierdan su tiempo haciendo algo a lo que los padres no están adaptados.
Don't waste your time doing a meeting that the parents are not adapted to.
Y si ustedes realmente son un distrito responsable, hagan una junta, conozcan a los padres.
And if you do want to hold meetings with the parents, it's good that you communicate with the parents.
Ustedes que están ahí, y más los administradores, deben de saber qué clase de padres tienen y qué tanto de tecnología saben.
The administrators should know what type of technology the parents know about.
Y hasta cuando hablan, deben de saber cómo hablar con un padre.
And even when you speak, you need to know how to speak to the parents.
Ellos, los administradores que fueron hoy, son los que están preparados.
The administrators that were there at the meeting, they're the only ones that were prepared.
Y esta preparación se debe de ver,
And that preparation needs to be seen.
porque te debes de preparar para los padres.
Because you need to prepare for the parents.
Por favor, van a tener otra junta, queremos más tiempo, queremos hacer nuestras preguntas.
Please, you're going to have more upcoming meetings. Please give us more time and give us time to also ask questions.
No nos limiten a decir, tómale una foto y haz tu pregunta, porque ni siquiera a lo mejor yo sé usarlo.
Don't limit us and tell us that we need to scan a code in order to ask a question because maybe we don't know how to use it.
Y lo que vas a hacer es excluirme o excluir a los padres que quieren hablar.
Because what you're doing is exclusion, not only to myself, but other parents who want to speak.
Y tu política es la inclusión y no lo estás haciendo.
And your policy is about inclusion and you're not doing it.
Por favor, díganle a la señora Jennifer de la Rice que se prepare mejor para los padres porque no estamos a su nivel de ella de preparación.
Please let Jennifer Rice, perdón.
Que se prepare mejor para los padres que estamos en Waukegan.
Okay, please let Jennifer Rice know that she needs to prepare for parents.
Porque
that live in
nosotros
Waukegan.
no tenemos el nivel de preparación de ella ni de los otros administradores o de los que estuvieron ahí sentados.
Because we do not have the level of preparation that the administrators present have.
Por favor, señora superintendente, hable con esa señora.
Please,
Gracias.
Superintendent, please speak with that woman. Thank you.
Thank you all for your public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board. So, no, ma'am. That's on them. It's a one-way conversation, Ms. Anna, and we want to make sure that we're following protocol so that we're treating everybody the same. All right, so next up is our consent agenda. Any items can be held over for any reason. This is done to expedite the work of the board. All items should be previously discussed and or considered non-controversial. Any board members can vote on any of the items separately. I just need the letter at this time.
Board President, I'd like to vote separately on L, P, Q, and R, and if you want to group them together, that's fine. And those are conferences in California or Arizona.
Anyone else? All right, items, motion to approve items 10A through, I'll just say each letter, I'm sorry, Lee. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K,
Yeah, I want to pull out E too.
all right, the motion would be, if we can go back up to approve items 10A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, M, N, O, Q, O, S, and T, and U.
Motion to approve.
S too.
Second.
A motion to approve items with the exception of L, P, Q, R, and S. And E. All right. Motion by Ms. Gonzalez.
Second.
Second by Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I have comment. We are hearing from the community in reference to raising taxes and spending money, and a bunch of these conferences, the ones that that are coming out of special education, aka diverse learners, those conferences are being funded through the education fund, and my question is why not the IDEA funding instead of the educational fund? And I know somebody will probably say, oh, well, all the money is in one pot. Well, that may be true. However, whenever there is an item specific to the diverse learners, the budget source is IDEA. And I did not see that on any of the conference requests. And also that there are conferences that appear to be a duplicate conference for leadership and the law. There's a couple of them, and they're being attended by the same administrators. And to be totally honest with you, I know there was talk about our state III conference in Chicago. I don't know why there is a $33,000 price tag on that, because the III conference should only really be attended by the board members and the superintendent.
That's not triple I.
Yeah. It's Courageous Conversations. That's separate from AAA.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Apologies.
No, I know what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
The III conference should be attended by only board members and the superintendent and possibly the deputy, along with legal. But that would not equate to $33,000, and so I am very curious as to
What letter item is that, Ms. Hannah?
it's in it. It was talked about earlier.
That's not what they were talking about, Ms. Hannah.
It was talked about the Chicago.
Yes, there's a different conference here, which is being held in Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, it's this Robert Laurie which is the hospital of Chicago. That's starting.
That's here.
The
That's
one that's
internal.
being held.
It's the
Courageous
Conversations.
Conversations.
At 33,000.
Yeah. So one's 33, one's 39. There are some, so I want to make sure there's nothing related to Triple I on this agenda.
Okay,
So,
but I still am making a statement. But anyway, the conferences if we go back on the agendas, we are spending a lot of money re-educating adults. And this money, I'm still not convinced that those people that we hired into our school district to run departments and provide services and stuff, why are we continually expending funds for all of this professional development? It's time for us to put a moratorium on the conferences, the professional developments. I know many grants may come with an attached requirement for professional development, but these conferences that I've looked up, they're just conferences, and you can choose them or you don't have to choose them. It's nothing mandated where all of these conferences have to be attended for professional development. And so I just think that it's time for a moratorium on the professional development until we can get settled with our taxes, the taxes increase that we are asking the public for, and the $30 million bond, all of that stuff. And each board meeting, we are approving numerous conferences, and enough. When are we going to spend money on our children?
go ahead, Ms. Pope, or Deputy Cesario, whichever one you all want to address it.
And please don't give me no excuses.
Board President, board members, superintendent, community members. As you said, Ms. Hannah, there is a requirement in a lot of the grants that you have to have a professional development component in there. The trip that the special ed is going on is said the education fund, but it's the IDEA as the source.
That should be what's put up there.
We've been putting on there the funds. We could certainly identify the source,
Right.
but we put on there the funds so that we can make sure that we're within the allocations in those funds.
It still needs to be, the board is voting, and if the funds are coming out of IDEA, then that's what it needs to say.
We could be more specific.
So just to be clear, your preference would be to denote education fund and then IDEA after that, or the
Well,
grants that comes out of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
any other time when it came up and I look back, and that's how come I'm questioning it. Why is it not IDEA as the budget source as it has been before?
We did start to use education fund precisely for the reason that Gwen stated. And then and we did verbalize it last week that some of those, if not all of the diverse learners, were coming out of IDEA. But we will make sure that we're in alignment with what your request is, to make sure that it is clear as possible as to what is coming out. And again, just to reiterate a point that was made last week, that there is a requirement out of IDEA that some of those monies have to be expended towards professional development. And I know you know that too, but just to say. So we'll make sure that IDEA is next to the education
And
fund.
not all of those conferences, can you answer the one question in reference to there's 2 law conferences, one legal and then one law, and you have the same administrators going to those same conferences, and I just don't understand that.
I don't want to misspeak, so I'm going to ask Dr. Bublitz to come up. There are 2 law conferences. I remember him saying that one was for one set of practitioners and one was for another, but I don't want to misspeak, so I'm going to let him speak to that, okay? Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, board, community. That is correct. LRP and case law are 2 separate legal conferences, and no 2 administrators or specialists who are frontline people supporting the district are going to either of those. They are separate. So,
Thank you, Dr. B.
yep.
Go ahead, Ms. Pope.
I know that we've proposed to the board that we want to, raise the taxes. But I think it's important that I also mention to the board that we're not in a position right now that we should suspend travel. I think that if those things were approved in the budget that you all just recently adopted, then I recommend to the superintendent and to the Board of Education that we adhere to the plan that was approved. I just want to give you some level of comfort right now that we're not in a position that some school districts are in currently. I think if we stick to the plan that you all recently approved, then we should be okay budgetarily.
Thank you, Ms. Pope. You good? Oh,
What?
go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
I just wanted to say that, I understand the comments and the concerns that people in the community have about a lot of the professional development that we have been providing our staff. But I really, as a young professional myself, I find it very beneficial. I know our staff certainly do, and a lot of these opportunities are directly supporting teachers who are in the classroom or staff who are connecting with students or helping their colleagues understand better practices, as we know that not everyone, whether it be their level of schooling, maybe the education that they received, things are always changing. Policies are always changing at different levels, be it the state or federal, and all of those things are better to be learned in the community that all of our professionals belong in, whether it be psychologists, counselors, and a lot of these things sometimes are virtual, and we have provided those opportunities for our staff when that is available. But a lot of these conferences are really expensive because sometimes they're not even provided virtually. So I think it's really important that our educators be the most educated in our buildings and continue to lead some of the work that we require. But I just wanted to say that because I know that the concern is the money, but this is literally the money that is in front of the students. And I hope that, people understand that. And like Ms. Polk said, I think that we're cutting spending. We're spending what is like $15 million less than we would like to spend, considering the budget that we just passed. But we can still afford to have our staff and our school school employees go to these opportunities so that they're the best in their field.
Ms. Fabian.
I was gonna save this for the next round, but it all relates together. I just want to point out that we're also seeing a lot of conferences on here because as we have requested in the past for people to put in those PD documentations ahead of time and not wait for 2 weeks before the conference. If you look at the dates, we have conferences going all the way through April. And so generally, we would typically see an agenda with one conference that they're trying to go to in 2 weeks or a month. So I also want to give kudos to all of those who are getting their documents in time, so that it also saves us money in early registration fees in hotels and flights when you do that. So it does look like a lot of conferences, but also it's throughout the span of the school year. So thank you for following through and for also filling out those professional development forms completely so that we can see the itemization, which is also something that we have been asking for. I also agree with Adriana's sentiments, and a lot of times we see admin going because they are at the top of the field, who then comes back and provides that professional development to our staff members, to our teachers. And so when you are at the top, who here in the district is going to provide that for you? And a lot of those updates, as Adriana said, do occur yearly. There are some conferences that are annual conference. I know that I myself always generally attend a FACE conference for the same reason. There is no one else in my agency that does that work and that could provide that professional development for me. So, and it's also nice to think outside of the box and see in a national perspective, what are some ideas, and you find thought partners and network to bring back. And so I think the ask has been not so much to give us a presentation, because we don't want a presentation. What we want to know is if something is being implemented that has been brought back because of a conference, that you highlight that when you do bring that back. So, for example, if you bring us a new PD session that you want us to approve, and it's an idea that came out of a conference, highlight that so that people are understanding that there is actionable items, or there are actionable items that are coming out of this professional development. Again, even with one of them, there's assisted technology. I just learned how to use an ACC device and had to teach the speech pathologist how to use it, because she's like, I've never seen this one. This is so brand new. Like, the technology is constantly updating and changing. So it is very important for our therapists to go, and just for our staff to be at that level where they can provide that service. And for clarification, it was not a speech pathologist here in our district. This is an outside agency for my brother's services. But again, just to note that things do change constantly, and we do want our staff to be prepared and trained in order to provide those services to our students.
Your only comments on the topic, the board speaks through policy. So if there is actual policy or something that someone wants to propose in order to adjust things, we can. I will support Ms. Polk in that these items were budgeted. They are coming before us in advance and ahead of time. And the reason that the number is as high as it is because at the request of the community from that podium, and we don't do a good job tying things back, there was a request that we send more frontline staff, right? So there are some administrators who are going, but there are a lot of teachers and counselors and school sites and people who are implementing restorative justice conversations, and I don't want to take that opportunity away from them. And these individuals were the ones to get their request in first. However, I do support Ms. Hannah in that if we're going to ask our taxpayers to pay more money, then it is rational for us to be able to look at where we can cut back. And so if Ms. Hannah wants to have a further conversation, I'll support this initiative and these items here, but I'm sure these are not the last items that we have planned or budgeted. And I will publicly state, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. And so the head of the organization, which is the Board of Ed, if we are going to implement this on our staff members and take these opportunities away, we need to think very, very hard about not just the optics of us still then attending any conference that we want to. And so I will continue to say, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I believe in PD. I support it when it comes up. I support it for any board member. But if we're going to restrict it, we're going to restrict it across the board. At least that would be my recommendation to the Board of Ed. Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Pass.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, I'll read those in, excluding the ones that we did not vote on. Item 10A, the Ann and Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital, Chicago. B, renewal of file of Destiny Librarian Textbook Inventory System. C, 104th Annual Conference for National Council on Social Studies. D, approval to attend the 2024 National Assembly of Family Engagement and Education Conference. F, renewal of OVIC network monitoring services. G, renewal of non-E-rate cogent internet service provider. H, Miguel Juarez Middle School fiber connection. I, approval of assured health contract increase. J, approval of attendance at Council of Administrators of Special Ed. K, renewal of Palo Alto firewall. M, renewal of student smart sheets project management tool. N, attendance at the National Association, NACY, Education of Young Children. O, yes, attendance at the National Association of Co-Teachers Conference. We skip P, Q, R, S, so then we're at T, attendance at American Speech Language Hearing Association National Conference, and U, attendance at the National Association of School Psychologists Conference. So now we have items E. Only Ms. Hannah asked to vote on that separately, so I'm going to take item E, approval to attend the National Summit for Courageous Conversations.
That may have been wrong.
Yeah, well, we still have to vote on it. Go ahead, item E.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the attendance to the National Summit for Courageous Conversations.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, as far as going to Chicago to have a courageous conversation, we need to have a courageous conversation right here in Waukegan for staff, for students, for the community, for administrators, for the board members. The courageous conversation should be in total, not just for a select group of administrators. This is for everybody, a courageous conversation. And it's too bad that it couldn't be hosted right here in our school district, because it's very badly needed.
Ms. Lindsay, did you have your hand up?
I did.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna go that way. Then we're gonna
Okay. So my comment on this one is just the timing component. We are essentially less than 2 weeks away from this date, so that's my frustration is, and this isn't the only one. I think there's one other professional development on the list that's within the next couple of weeks, and it goes back to the point that has been repeated multiple times by different board members that we are asking that this get put in as soon as possible. But I am glad that this is accessible for some of our staff members, and it is very much needed. And I believe, Dr. Fields, with your team, there were starts of some courageous conversations with all of our staff members, especially when it comes to cultural competency and teaching. But this is a different platform, to your point, and I think that would be a great thing to see if we can get organized, to have them come to the district and do it more district-wide, and see if we can open it up to community members as well, because even as a community, I think this is such a vital piece that we could all benefit from.
Miss Fabian, and then Miss Gonzalez.
I think the concern was also, the location is in Chicago. I did look where it's at. I make that drive, and I will tell you it is a 2-hour to 2.5-hour drive every morning, which is not great. So I understand why they're trying to stay at the hotel, but I also do see that there are some people that are staying for not the entire time. So they're being cognizant of timing and ensuring that they're not staying for the entire conference as well. But again, just being mindful if there are strategies like all of us or all of them that are coming to Lincoln Center and taking a bus, so we're not providing mileage reimbursement or not staying that extra night and coming back, that we do look for those strategies to cut costs where possible.
quick comment on that, Ms. Gonzalez, just because Ms. Fabiana had brought it up.
Yeah.
So the full conference, that was something that came up during the Equity Advisory Committee. And so some of those pre-dates are essentially to, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Fields, be certified within the Courageous Conversation. So those pre-conference sessions wouldn't apply to everybody going, just select individuals.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gonzalez?
I just wanted to mention that there's like 13 people going on this to this conference. When it comes to like 2,500 or 3,000 for the conference itself and lodging, that really does seem to be like a reasonable price tag for an educational opportunity like this. I also just wanted to clarify that the program is called Courageous Conversation, and it's not the first time it's been introduced. Dr. Fields brought it a couple years ago. I attended, I think it was part of the conference virtually, and so I also want to remind the board that she handed us these giant green books when she introduced the program. So if we have lost that, let's be mindful of the resources that the school district gives us. That's just added context that I wanted to share.
Only comment relates to it is understand the price tag, but this is money well spent. The superintendent just had to send out a message about inappropriate racial slurs that were used in the classroom. So as these individuals are directly responsible for a lot of our equity work and leading that, I will 100% be supporting this initiative, is because it is doing the things that we say need to be done and training the individuals who can then come back and have the courageous conversations that Ms. Hannah speaks about in our classroom. So again, as we continue to monitor and navigate that issue, I want to make sure that I reinforce that this is the work that we committed to. And yes, there is a cost to it, but this would be one of those things that I think is money well spent. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. And then are we okay with voting on items L, P, Q, R, S as one block, or did you want those voted on separately, Ms. Lindsay?
I'm good together.
Okay, if we can have item L, P, Q, R, and S, a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
So I asked for these to be separated because, again, they're being hosted in states, and we had talked about it at the previous meeting, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but they're in states that do not support properly educating our children on true history or actual facts, and have removed it from their curriculum. So I can't support tourism in those states if they're underserving their students.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
No.
President Ewing?
Yes, items are approved, motion carries. I'll read those for the record. Item L, attendance at LRP's National Institute of Legal Issues of Education, Individual with Disabilities. P, the National Association of Education of Homeless Children and Youth. Q, attendance at Assistive Technology Industry Association. R, attendance at the National Training Institute of Effective Practices. S, attendance at the Council of Administrators of Special Education Academy of Law and Leadership. We now have our consent agenda for operations. Information is the same. These should be considered non-controversial and or previously discussed. Any board member can ask that we vote on any of these items separately. If you'd like to vote on these items separately at this time, please give me the letter. All right, hearing none, if we can have a motion to approve items A through K.
Sorry, Board President. Did we vote on S with the prior consent? Okay, my apologies.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion? We scroll down a little bit. Operations. Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Further down. Further down.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Further.
Yes.
Further.
Ms.
further.
Hannah?
No.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes. Item approved, motion carries. Item 11A, approval of school bus maintenance agreement between Waukegan Public Schools and Illinois Central Bus Company. B, approval of professional development procurement strategy certificate at E. Cornell. C, approval to attend the National School Board Association Q conference. And just to highlight that one, that's replacing me. D, approval to attend the Professional Development Illinois Central Certification Board Fall Conference. E, approval of Crisis Intervention and Safety Department CPI Instructor Certification Training. F, approval of agreement with Dependable Fire Equipment and Kitchen Hood Cleaning. G, approval of Inter-Waukegan Facility Rental Waiver Request. H, approval of Hyde Park Furniture Inclusion. I, approval of AOEC Classroom Furniture. J, restorative approval of McCall Hot Water Return Piping. And K, retroactive approval of Washington Campus Water Main Emergency Repair. We are now at purchases and contracts. Item 12A, approval to change order Hyde Park asbestos abatement 2024 Phase 1 and 2.
It is recommended. Lee, can you? I got it. Thank you. It is recommended the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to retroactively approve the change order 1 for the Hyde Park asbestos abatement 2024 project phase 1 and 2. Change order 1 totals $9,979.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We have item, I'll just take them separately. Item 13A, appeal of uniform grievance complaint, case number is listed.
It is recommended that the Board of Education uphold the superintendent's decision and deny the appeal of uniform grievance complaint case number 2024-E/E-02 lodged by complainant employee number 5116 under Board Policy 2110.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Pass.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We're now at item 13B, personnel for 9/24/24.
It is recommended that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendations to approve the appointments, retirements, retirement extension, and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, N699, L949, and G660.
I motion to approve the recommendation.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item motion approved. And administrative appointments.
At this time, I'd like to welcome Mr. Lloyd Murray, who previously served as a data analyst with Remote Task. He will now serve as a technology manager here at Lincoln Center with a starting salary of $63,000. Congratulations, Mr. Murray.
ILL. Welcome. ILL.
Yeah, congratulations, Mr. Murray. Glad to have you.
All right, welcome to all of those, and good luck to anybody who is no longer with us. Next up is item 13C, attendance at 2024 ALIS Annual Summit.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education approves the attendance of Superintendent Placencia at the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents at the 2024 ALIS Conference on October 9th through 11th, 2024 in Portland, Oregon, at an estimated cost of $500. The cost is significantly reduced because Think Sarah covers airfare, lodging, and registration.
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Can we just get a clarification of what the Think Sarah is?
It's a literacy program that we're utilizing at Clark Elementary School. Clark principal will be representing, and we will be presenting there,
Okay.
as we did previously.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 16A, ratification of the second processing of September 2024 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of September 4th, 2024 through September 17th, 2024.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the second September 2024 processing of board bills, manual check request payments, and the Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of September 4th, 2024 through September 17th, 2024. The accounts payable board payments for the period of September 4th, 2024 through September 17th, 2024 total $2,168,464.71. The manual check request payments for the period of September 4th, 2024 through September 17th, 2024 totals $1,652,728.01. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of September 4th, 2024 through September 17th, 2024 total $0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Pass.
Ms. Lensing.
Pass.
President Ewing.
Yes. Motion, item carries, motion approved. Committee reports, are there any committee reports at this time? No?
The calendar.
Delegates
I
report.
haven't gotten the calendar.
Yeah.
What happened?
Can we just remind the committee heads to send us calendar invites?
For the full year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Superintendent,
Yes, Mr. Alajakis is working on the calendar invites. He has, I believe, he was waiting on one or two to be solidified because we do have to work with union personnel and some of them in attendance. I don't know if those were the ones holding up, so I don't want to state but we were waiting on a few variables that were still out there, but we will get those to the board this week, the ones that we do have.
awesome. Superintendent's report.
At this time, I'd like to call up Dr. Cesario. We have been holding this report for a number of board meetings. Our report tonight is around AI, and we've heard a lot about this in the media nationally. How do students use it? Do we allow it in schools? Can we block it? What does that look like for school districts? What does that look like for school district policy? This is a very good example of when we go to conferences and we're able to see nationally what is going on. There was a lot of conversation at the National Superintendent's Conference around AI and how districts are utilizing it or B, not utilizing it, and policy that boards are adopting. So at this point, I'll turn it over to Dr. Cesario.
Yeah, so good evening, Board President, Superintendent, members of the board, colleagues, and community members. So this will be part of a series of presentations regarding AI. We have held this for, I don't know, maybe 2 months, just because it's been a busy agenda. But anyways, a lot of, I think what the superintendent said is very accurate. At last year's AASA Superintendent's Conference, AI was the topic of the entire conference. I mean, there were probably 15 to 20 sessions on AI. I know Superintendent and I attended a couple of those together, and then a couple of them separately. But this is a hot topic right now, and it's something that really we use every day without even knowing. And so right now what we're going to talk about is just what AI is, and obviously we have our resident expert on technology here. And so Dr. Cuevas will share the definition, and we'll talk about some pieces. But this is just an overview. It's not about anything that we're integrating or making decisions about or anything of that nature. It's merely just to start the conversation.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President, Superintendent, board members, community members, and colleagues. Lee, if we can move to the next slide. So if we look at the definition of artificial intelligence, it refers to the simulation of human intelligence processed by machines, primarily computer systems. And when we look at this definition, AI is not new. Calculator. It was introduced in the mid-70s. At that time, there was a lot of concerns. Our students are going to learn how to add, subtract, divide. And many years later, we're still using a calculator. So this is something to keep in mind, that artificial intelligence has been with us, for many, many years. Key components is machine learning, natural language processing, robotics, and more. Artificial intelligence system can analyze data, recognize patterns, and make decisions with little to no human interactions. Okay, next slide. The uses of artificial intelligence is being used in different sectors, including healthcare, finance, transportation, and other industries. So when we look what are the common uses of artificial intelligence, some of us in our houses, we have this technology already. For example, Siri, Alexa, that we use voice commands, and that device will execute an instruction. Okay?
And oftentimes when you are sitting at the computer, you're at a website and an assistant pops up, that is AI. There's not a real person on the other line. They're asking you what, and oftentimes it's automated. You can get a phone call, and that can also be AI. So it's present in everything in everyday life. We're seeing that. We're interacting with it. And so you've probably interacted with it and you didn't even know you were interacting with it. And so we can go into talking about things that might be a little scary, but we're not trying to do that. We're trying to just really talk about what are some opportunities. And again, in this particular presentation, merely just educating and talking about the surface level.
Thank you. How can artificial intelligence benefit education? The potential application. Personalized learning. AI can tailor educational content to individual student needs, pacing, and learning styles. And we have that today with some of the application software that we use in the district. It's something that we're already using. Intelligent tutoring systems, virtual tutors that provide personalized guidance and feedback to students. And also we're using this with the students and as well with the staff members that are taking some trainings online. Okay, next slide.
Can you write it down, Ms. Hunt? Sure. Can you write it down, Ms. Hunt?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, how can artificial intelligence benefit education? Grading automation. AI algorithms can assess and provide feedback on student assignments, saving teachers' time. Also, administrative tasks. AI can streamline administrative processes such as scheduling, attendance, tracking, and resource allocation. The scheduling piece, we're already using this in some center, like the Welcome Center, that they also have a scheduling system in place, so that we're taking advantage of that. Okay, empower students with artificial intelligence. There are a few components that we want to see how artificial intelligence can help our students. Adaptive learning platforms, virtual learning assistant, gamification, and language learning. If we look each one individually, so adaptive learning platforms dynamically adjust content based on student progress and performance, so that then the education can be customized for each student. Virtual learning assistants answer student questions, provide explanation, and offer study tips. Gamification, incorporate AI to create engagement educational games that promote learning and retention. Something that is important to mention, that artificial intelligence will not replace a human being. Always you will need a human being to configure this and also to understand how to leverage the different techniques that you can use with AI.
Yeah, and thank you, Josue, for that, because this offers many more opportunities, like the gamification, the virtual learning assistants, to differentiate instruction and enhance tools. It provides more tools for teachers and for students to access. So we don't have an exhaustive list of what those are right now, but there are a lot of opportunities. There's many school districts are engaging in, especially the virtual learning assistants and the gamification. So we're just at the surface level, and we know that this is happening independently, and with some folks in our district are using aspects of this. They're starting to, and what we want to do is learn more about that so that we can really be consistent across the district. And we'll go into that more in subsequent presentations.
If we look at item D, language learning, AI-powered language tutors for practicing speaking, listening, and writing skills. And I'm a self-example of that. There are times that I ask myself how I can pronounce a word. and I go to artificial intelligence and say, okay, this is the correct way to pronounce a word. And actually, it helps me to improve my vocabulary. Okay, next slide. Okay, supporting teachers with artificial intelligence, with lessons planning, classroom management. When we look lessons planning, AI tools can suggest resources, activities, and assessment aligned with curriculum standards. Classroom management AI system can analyze student behavior and provide insights to improve classroom dynamics. Okay. Next slide, please. Professional development, artificial intelligence-powered platforms offer personalized training and resource tailored to teachers' needs and goals. Grading assistant automate routine grading tasks, allowing teachers to focus on providing targeted feedback and support. When we look at these areas, again, it's very specific how the teachers can leverage and take advantage of what AI can offer. And again, the teacher is going to be an important key role here for the students to also to take advantage of artificial intelligence. While AI offers immense potential, there are challenges and considerations to address. For example, equity and access, ensuring that AI technologies benefit all students, regardless of socioeconomic status or special needs. Next slide, please. Privacy and data security, safeguarding student data and ensuring compliance with regulations such as the GDPR and COPPA. And then ethical consideration, addressing biases on artificial intelligence algorithms and promoting transparency and accountability in decision-making processes. So when we look that AI also needs to be customized and also AI needs to be monitored just to make sure that we're helping all students.
Yeah, no, I just think it's important for that ethical piece. So like when we talk about a platform or a tool like ChatGPT, oftentimes, students, the example that's often used with this is that students have a topic that they're supposed to write on and they put that into ChatGPT and then have that platform write the essay, right? And so that's part of the ethical considerations. Or creating art, right? Say like students are tasked with creating a piece of art and they put in a description and that creates the art. And so those are pieces that we still have to talk about. But there's opportunities beyond that where it can really enhance students' learning and provide opportunities again for teachers to have additional tools at their disposal to assist with differentiating instruction.
And in another topic too, so artificial intelligence basically it can help us to improve different techniques that we have. Also can help us for the students to be more creative. If they're looking for different ideas, artificial intelligence can be used for brainstorming so that it can help the student to expand their knowledge as well. In conclusion, artificial intelligence have the power to transform education by personalizing learning experiences, enhancing teaching effectiveness, and streamlining administrative tasks. By embracing AI responsibly and ethically, we can create more inclusive, engaging, and effective learning environment for all students and educators.
And I think the last piece on this too is that AI is still learning. So the more that humans that we use those platforms, the more that it learns, because it's not perfect. So as I mentioned, I gave those examples about art and about writing an essay. It sometimes it gets things incorrect, and so the other piece too is it can't really tell voice. So if you're articulating something, it can't really sense those things. So, but here's one example is, we worked on this together and then used a lot of the information we independently that Josue had just from his own engagement with this topic, but then other things that I had taken from some of the presentations that I attended and the superintendent attended last year at AASA, but then put that into ChatGPT to create this particular slide deck. So you can see that even some of the language in there isn't exactly how Josue and I would speak, but it does provide opportunities to enhance what you're doing and be very concise with the language too. And so it does we did take it and we looked at it and then we made our own. But again, it did throw in other ideas that we didn't have either. So, and it's something that you have to keep going into and asking questions, and it's an opportunity, again, if used specifically, intentionally and strategically, can really have some benefits. But we're just at the surface level, and we're just presenting right now on just some very surface level information that many of you may already know or may not. So that's it. We'll take any questions that you might have.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah, and then Ms. Fabian.
Okay, Dr. Cesario.
Yes.
Superintendent and Dr. Cuevas, back in March, I had shared with you all the AI,
the tutoring
licenses that we had the opportunity to receive here in the district. And when I spoke to you about it, you told me that we were not ready for that. And it was just what I just had here, virtual, student tutoring tool. And that's what we had, the Waukegan district had the opportunity to receive free.
We did.
The 18 licenses
we did.
For the AI
yes.
Tutor for students. And like you told me that we were not ready.
I may have said something to the effect that we were not ready for this at that time because we were about to move forward with implementing our new literacy program, and we did not want to overwhelm and that was part of the discussion that we had with Jennifer too. But we had several team members that attended those sessions, and I believe that we did come to a decision together that we felt that the investment that we made in our literacy program took priority over what we were going to do in terms of a tutoring program, they were free. But that was a decision that we made jointly.
Yeah, and it was for the science of reading.
It was, but again, we were really focused on the implementation of our program and wanted to make sure that we were implementing Tier 1 with fidelity and maintaining that focus there with the professional development there, and didn't want to add another layer on. And I did explain that to you. That was a decision that I did not make independently, brought back to the team because we had several conversations about it, and I know that you engaged with Jennifer, Ms. Rice de la Sanchez as well. So yeah, and that's why again I will stand by that decision because I wanted to make sure that we were launching this with fidelity and having a focus on that implementation and ensuring that we were supporting our teachers and our principals with that without adding on another layer. So it was the timing, and again, I don't make decisions independently, and I always consider the feedback that we get from the board, but it was a team decision to not add on another layer.
Ms. Lindsay?
Oh, Ms. Fabian.
Oh, Ms. Fabian.
Just a couple of things since you're at that beginning stage is that I know that we have a lot of apps, and we do have some student tutoring apps currently. So just that when we're looking to add more AI, that we're looking to ensure that we're not doing a duplication of apps and services, and to your point, overwhelming not just staff, but parents with all of these different venues of technology. And then I have two
can I
more
just
points,
speak
but
to
I'll
that?
do it. Yeah, I'll do it section by section. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a really valid point, and why I say we're at the surface level because we want to engage with our admin, our site-based admin, and with our teachers to talk about what would be useful and what would be helpful, rather than having it be overly burdensome and take away from what we're doing with Tier 1. So it's similar to the response that I provided to Ms. Hannah, is that this year is really a focus on our Tier 1 implementation and ensuring that we're doing that with fidelity. You wanted to add something?
In addition of that, I want to mention that one of my goals this year in responsibility that we're going to be monitoring every week is to create an AI committee in the district, and this committee is going to involve teachers, students, and staff members.
Perfect. And then my second point is just ensuring also that we're looking at the adaptivity of the AI that we're using so that we can enhance, for student usage, not just disability, but also languages, because we do have a large population that is coming in with a language that we cannot serve currently because we just don't have the staff. So just looking at using AI to help support in that manner as well. And then my last concern, because Adriana will know this too, we just put out our foundation grant. We're going through them now. And there are teachers who are already looking at AI and trying to implement that into their classroom. Yeah. And so our question was, is there a protocol or a procedure? Who should they be contacting? Because to your point, we don't want teachers to just randomly choose and select and throw things at students. If we can be consistent and provide it to the entire student body, or actually have the technology support to ensure that it works properly, right? And that it's something that is valid in the academic field. So could you tell us, do you already have a protocol, or are you writing that now?
So there's two things. To speak to the translation piece, and you can see now, like Google Translate, beyond Google Translate, you can just have the app open, and it'll translate it for you, and then you can speak in your native language, and it'll translate it in that other language. So I mean, this is happening very rapidly, right? And it's just how comfortable folks are with using it, and that's why I reference that there are some teachers that are already well ahead. And to your, and this is kind of segueing into your third point, and that is that's primarily the reason why we need to have a committee. And that the other reason for having this presentation in front of the board is there's decisions that the board has to initiate too regarding the oversight of AI, whether it's adopting a separate policy, adjusting an existing policy, but then we have to do this. And again, I'm not saying what we have to do. I'm saying that some of this has to happen concurrently. The formation of a committee, meeting with people, multiple stakeholders, and then the board here having discussion about what do we do. So there's a lot to kind of tackle right now, and that's why, again, just going back to the point that I was making to Ms. Hannah, is that focusing on Tier 1, because AI is not going to replace humans, nor will it replace teaching. It enhances it. We still have to be strategic and intentional. When the advent of the internet, people thought that, I remember when I was teaching, there were parents who were like, well, he spends all day on the computer. He's real smart. The computer's teaching him. And I'm like, the computer's not teaching him. It's how we use that tool to teach him. So monitor that, right? And it's similar to this, it's an awesome tool. How do we use it? And I think that's part of the conversation and part of what the discussion will be with the board about what are we doing and what guidance do we provide. The best place to hear about where that guidance is needed is directly from teachers and administration. So as Josue said, he'll be forming a committee that'll be a diverse committee of folks to get that insight, to assist in making decisions so that we can provide guidance and support when necessary.
So the question is, what is the protocol now then? When you have teachers asking to add this to their curriculum,
yes.
What do they need to do?
So Ms. Fabian, we're using the same protocol that we use with the Learn platform. Okay, and also it's a combination of different protocols. We need to use SOPA, the Student Online Personal Protection Act. So we need to validate how these companies are going to be collecting information, or if they're going to be using any personal identifiable information from the students. So it needs to go through that process. if a teacher wants to use, let's say, a particular AI tool, needs to go through teaching and learning. Then the teaching and learning department, they're going to evaluate the tool, they're going to decide if they want to do a pilot, and based on that, then the ITS department is going to involve to help with the implementation.
And if I could just add, the board does have a policy on how to get supplementary curriculum material approved. So you do have that. You do have the existing policy on use of technology. Yeah. You have the policies that speak to posting on websites and managing that and student confidentiality. If you searched the term AI or it's too late. Artificial, thank you. I was going to say automated. Artificial intelligence, you won't find that term, but the concepts will apply still.
I just wanted it clear for our teachers to know it's the same process.
Yeah, Ms. Lindsay and then Mr. Riddle.
So thank you, Dr. Cuevas and Dr. Cesario, for going through the presentation. IASB also had a training available to board members that are very along the same lines, very high level, very basic introductions. I just want to continue to stress the ethics around it. It's not even decided on a broader level what the ethics looks like. And it wasn't in the presentation, but Dr. Cesario, you did touch on it, right? When you are putting in a prompt, it is looking at all of everyone's work that is published and has access to, and it forms that information. And it takes pictures and images that artists should be paid for and creates a new image. And so that's unethical. So as we are going to engage with AI, I think it's very important that our students, one, learn how to use it, because there's a very structured way to enter in a prompt to get a good result. That is something that we need to teach our kids to do. But we also need to be asking ourselves, while there's no international guidance around the ethics for AI, we need to constantly be asking that question. We also need to be asking, as we proceed with whatever tools we're going to be implementing in the district, who are we leaving out as we make these decisions? Are we considering all of our students, because it is an accessibility component that they deserve to have access to? So I just want to make sure that we're engaging with that as well. If you can provide me what AI tool looks at classroom management and provides feedback to the teacher on how to better manage their classrooms, I'm very curious on how AI would do that.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't did we reference that in this?
Yeah, it's in there.
It's included.
I don't have any
that's not
specifics.
tracking trends of students and their behaviors in class.
It is if the teacher's using.
You have to input the points. Right. You still have to put them in.
Right.
That's a form of AI. I understand, but that's not the level, like when it's presented in this presentation, that's not what comes across.
And I think that we possibly could have been on our way maybe 2 steps ahead of where we are right now, had we taken advantage of those licenses, and you all would have been getting feedback, input, how it's working with kids, what you gotta do in terms of the ethics, all of that, but we missed that opportunity. Now, you could say whatever you want to say, but it was we should have looked at it as getting ahead of the game. And we could have been ahead of the game. But there's been several issues where we kind of...
We were ahead of the game with the science of reading, and that has been the focus, and that has been the emphasis. And rather than taking the onus off of that and moving from one thing to another, we wanted to be intentional and strategic, and we wanted to make sure that our teachers had what they needed. So I appreciate your opinion, and I stand by the decision that was made collectively by the ASAP team.
Yeah, I understand. and it was all of it. This AI tool that I'm talking about was introduced with the science of reading. All of it.
So we still may have time to look at that if it now makes sense as we move forward and do this work.
Sorry, I had two more pieces
Go ahead,
before
Ms.
we jump to
Lindsay.
Mr. Riddle. As we move forward, I want to make sure that we are prioritizing for our students critical thinking and problem solving, which I understand, right? But we need to make sure that is a central focus, because I don't want the perception to be from any stakeholder group, whether it's the students, the teachers, the community, the parents, administration, teachers, whatever, that we are using AI so that the students can essentially have the technology do their work for them, or the technology can have, you know, the teachers have their work done by technology. So I just want to make sure that we are still prioritizing critical thinking and problem solving skills for our kids, because that's the main motivator or the main driver of how they're going to be successful.
I go back to the focus on tier one, and that's what we're focusing on. I do think we have a responsibility to share this information.
Mm-hmm.
You had mentioned that you had taken sat through a webinar or
through
a presentation
IASB.
through IASB, and it was high level, and that's where we're starting. Because
Yeah.
there are a lot of questions. You mentioned the ethics piece,
Yeah.
and that is a very serious one to consider, and it's also something that many of the districts that were presenting, they had talked about how they wove that into what they were talking about with students, about how there needs to be ethical considerations for plagiarism, for stealing art, right? And not providing, referencing who were these people who created these great works of art. So we're at the beginning, and again, I think we all have ideas about where we want to go. I think our point in doing this is really just to say, we're all aware of AI. This is where we're at right now, and there may be people using it independently at home. But again, through the process of the Learn platform, utilizing the Learn platform, we want to make sure that what we're doing and the tools that we're using align to our goals. And our primary focus has been on literacy and the science of reading and our Literacy for All initiative. And so that's what we're focusing on. But we also have to start talking about AI, and that's why we wanted to present here and talk about a committee so that we can get all stakeholders involved, and make sure that the board is aware of where we're at, what we're thinking about, and obviously what you all have to think about regarding policy. And Kathy, Ms. Vanderbroek mentioned where there are opportunities within existing policy to discuss that. And those are decisions that you all have to make, but then we have to be informed, I think, with how we can best assist, again, site-based administrators and teachers and students as well with this.
Yeah, so I'll respond to that. And then I have one more, and then my turn's done. We're bringing up these things because the board is being proactive, right? Because
Yes.
a lot of times
Definitely.
our response is reactive, right? So while you've said it multiple times, we understand this is preliminary. We are saying this so we don't get it at the end of the process, and it's not something that has been brought up before, and now we have to be reactive. So that's essentially the line of questioning that we have. One other aspect that I want us to be proactive in is when we go to use AI for these educational games, it said research-based. I want to make sure that we have some sort of framework in order to go into research proven, right? Because if it's research-based, that's very loosey-goosey. I take one component and it's going to work. And education, as you educators very well know, is very much on what's on trend. Let's change to this. When, I understand as a district, we're ahead of the curve with the science of reading, but I did it 10 years ago with students.
Sure.
Businesses have been making money off of it since the 70s. It was in our school curriculum for a period of time, and then for some crazy reason, I was taught balanced literacy, which didn't do anything.
Right.
So I just want to make sure, being proactive, when we look to use these tools and it says it's an educational game, we're looking for research proven, not research based. And then that's all I had.
And we do have just one additional point here. SOPA, we have those guidelines to assist us with making those decisions, but we're vetting them through the multiple teams to ensure that whatever we're using is going to align, and it's not just, something something flashy. We're like, oh, this is great.
And can I add something? And at many times, different companies will give you the research proven, but you have to utilize it in the manner that they're stating, right?
Right.
So 5 hours intensively at home, whatever that is, and I think that's where sometimes we get caught up at. I mean, even like the student of, you have to go home and do this an extra hour, and actually putting those hours in so that it is research proven. But just wanted to add that so parents know it.
Thank you. Mr. Riddle.
Thank you, Dr. Cesario. Thank you, Dr. Cuevas. Yes, this is a conversation that I'm really pleased that you and some of the staff have attended conferences on this, and there's great concern and great hope for AI. It's going to help education, it's going to help the medical field, it's going to help a lot of us, and quite a few of us have already tried AI to see what it does and what it can do. One of the concerns that I have is, we sometimes see these new technologies and we begin to think they're going to solve all our problems, and you brought out the fact that it's not going to replace people, it's not going to replace the learning that our students do. As Board Member Lensing said, we still want our children being able to think critically, being able to analyze, problem solve, being able to talk to one another and build relationships. So I think as we're working with AI, we need to think very cautiously about, yes, how can it help, but what's the potential for it doing some damage to especially young minds?
Yeah.
And that's more my concern. Is I know even the folks who've developed AI and some of those folks don't send their children to schools that use a lot of technology because they're afraid of young children.
Yeah.
With their minds being developed and the draw that technology has on them. So I guess that my big concern is that I would hope is that our administration and our board thinks cautiously and carefully about not jumping quickly about the companies that want to introduce all these new AI products that maybe become available, and especially to our young children. I'm just afraid that they need to experience and develop relationships, and not with just a machine.
Yeah.
It can be very attractive to sit there in front of a computer. So I hope that we caution our families about the benefits, but also the drawbacks to it, and that it can be overdone, and especially with our young children. So that's my concern, and that's where I think I want the board and the administration to continue to be aware of. Yes, it's going to help us in many ways, but also advise parents and families with their young children that this is not something, it's not just a babysitter. We're not going to just replace teachers, and that your kids can just sit in front of these machines all day and get the answers they want, and be gamification. They can be very attractive to them to spend a lot of time, too much time, in fact, in front of a screen, and not in relationship with other people, and experiencing the outdoors and nature and all that sort of stuff that we know has been around and can benefit us for so long. So I guess that's my caution.
Yeah, no, and I think, again, just going back to what I was saying before, is like being intentional and strategic with the use. But one of the things that we've already done is utilize the Learn platform to analyze some existing programs, formerly existing programs that we had, to look at their effectiveness and to remove them, because students were spending time on the computer, and it was prescribed by those companies, and saying that, here, the research says if you spend 4 hours a week on this, then you're going to see an increase. And what matters most is the student-to-student discourse and the ability to think critically. And so, again, using it as a tool, talking about it, because it is it is something that folks are looking at and talking about daily. And so we've held this presentation for months now, and I think we were going to talk about it last April or May or June, but it is what it is. But just again, starting the conversation, and this is what it is. It's a high-level presentation to start the conversation, so that we can hear all of those things, and we can talk about those concerns, and have an awareness and processes in place so that we can vet these products and talk about how we're going to use it and make sure that we're doing so in an ethical manner, and that it's enhancing what we're doing with teaching and learning rather than trying to replace it, because we can never do that. So did you want to add something, Dr. Cuevas?
Something very important to mention, that before we apply any tool, there's going to be a pilot. And the pilot is going to be conducted by the subject matter expert, who are the teachers.
Yes.
So the teachers are going to validate, they're going to test, and they're going to see if it's effective or not.
I think that's a wonderful way to operate, because the teachers have been teaching students for many years, and they know what's best. So as these things are introduced, that's a great way to do it, Dr. Cuevas.
Yeah.
Pilot the program with the teachers and see if it's, and also to let them put on some controls then and say, yes, this is a great tool. This young student is making some progress, but I want to limit how much time he or she spends on that program so that they have an opportunity to develop other skills. Thank you.
Ms. Gonzalez.
I have a lot of thoughts on AI, but I'll try to keep it down to 3 major points. One, I do want to affirm that we're thinking about it. This is an introduction to it, and you guys are considering incorporating it into our schools. I feel very strongly that this is where our generation is at. This is where the technology is going, the good and the bad. I want to salute to the team for even opening up this Pandora's box of a conversation, because like the internet and like other tools that have been used now in education, it is a scary thing, because I think this conversation isn't just going to be about implementation. It's also going to be largely about how many of our teachers really feel prepared to teach their students, and whether they're going to be excluded or feel excluded from that experience. Which brings me to my second point. And I don't know if other board members would concur, but I really think that rolling AI out into the district should not happen unless our policies specifically state that the artificial intelligence, AI, whatever, is specifically laid out, whether that revolves around discipline, its usage, which some of the policy already speaks to, but just like very specifically stating it out, that this is what it looks like, this is what it does, but this is what it is. Because even reviewing some of the existing policy, we had to revamp some of that language to be more colloquial and notice easily recognizable for community members. And then the third thing is that I really do believe that although it could be very beneficial for students, I would almost limit the use of in terms of like students using it as a tool in their classes. I wouldn't even introduce it until they're in like high school. I don't know at what points you all will be considering using it in the curriculum, but I really feel that it should kind of be once they like I would even say after like sophomore year, to be quite honest with y'all, only because I think the foundation or introduction to AI could really center around the ethics, which people have mentioned, its impact. Right now, there's a lot of debate about even using AI because of its climate impact, about the organizations that are really bringing about some of the most emerging technology, and how it's kind of existent everywhere, but I mean, a lot of these companies are getting sued as well because of it, right? So I feel like that should be a huge consideration, to limit its usage or access for students until later years, and to really prioritize maybe the rollout to staff, because I could easily see AI helping us schedule classes, helping with administrative tasks like sending mass emails, doing all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. I hope the board considers that too when we're, just seeing this come up again. That's it.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that as we close out the conversation, because mine are when I took notes. So thank you, Dr. Cuevas and Dr. Cesario, for being proactive. My comment was voluntary early adopters group. Now, I did hear Ms. Lindsay's point of who's being left out, but one of the things that we did specifically at BCU is who's not afraid of the technology, and how do you get them to become part of a group to kind of figure out. We also were sneaky, Dr. Cuevas, is before we announced what we were doing, we said, what tools are you using to do your work? And then everybody was volunteering all their tools. And so there are tools that you don't know that they are using in the classroom that you can kind of fish out, you know, that somebody found something cool, which could be something that you want to pilot in order to recommend larger, or maybe something that we want to restrict. So my comments are around a AI governing document approved with that includes approved and unapproved apps. So that it's very, very clear about either the process that they need to follow, and when we do have one that's been vetted, it's, hey guys, this is something that you can use and this is how you can use it, because it may be working at one school at Abbott, but it may be really, really good, but Miguel Juarez teachers just don't know about it. So if you have one place where you store that governing document that would be prescribed for the board, so if there are limits set by grade level, if there are certain websites, and then that we be explicit which things are approved and which things are not. The other thing that, as a concern and a takeaway, that we don't need a response because the hour is late, but at minimum, staff should know not to input student data, PII, or confidential information into open AI platforms. That is something that we need continual reminding of, is because it becomes a tool that is very, very easy for teachers that are not afraid, and they may do it unconsciously. So I want us to be explicit about when we have that government document and that communication, that we also have a training annually that requires us to make sure that they are certified and that they understand that. And then, you know, for me, and we talked about it, and Ms. Gonzalez hit on it a little bit, we may be at the beginning, right, when we say we, like educators and how it's using, but our students and our staff members are off and running.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and so this is one of those where it's not 100% reactive, but there are already things that are going on, which is which we want to be aware of and starting to move towards. So I would encourage, and as we continue to have this conversation, is that we embrace AI with restraints, and then to the administration's point, it's up to the Board of Education to figure out what those restraints are. And again, everything is not a crisis, but we do want to be deliberate and intentional about having these conversations now. And again, we had to wait, but I do want, at the bare minimum, maybe that's one of the recommendations that can come out of that committee, is a governing document that's recommended to the board, and the board can say, no, I don't like it. I do think board members should be assigned and appointed to that board as well, that committee as well. So if anybody is very, very interested in this topic, please let me know. But I'll give Ms. Fabian the final word on this as we move on to our last item.
I just want to add that we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and that there are computer science learning standards. So while we're making policy, also making sure that I understand your thoughts, Ms. Gonzalez, but there are standards as early as the kindergarten level that we should be providing. And so when we make a general blanket statement of no AI in the classroom, that's not really possible if we're sticking to the standards. And then again, we have to understand that AI encompasses so many things, so we have to be, like you said, very specific and intentional.
Student usage of AI.
Right, but that could be Google. That could be a whole bunch of things that we still want them to use. So we have to be very, like you said, mindful and specific. So again, if you're working on that committee, taking a look at those standards so that we are in line with what we should be teaching.
Yeah, because yes. Done. All right, appreciate it. Thank you, guys. We got through it.
Thank you.
All right. So, student discipline matter? No, yeah, it got moved, right? Removed. Yes. That's what I thought. All right. Item 19A, Board Policy 4112. The hour is late. My only comment related to this is we have a board member, at least one, that has some concerns. My ask is just very clearly, the reason that this came forward is because the board had issues and concerns with the current process. So if there are actual recommendations things that you want changed, language that you want input, is because the main concern, which said that the superintendent was the final appeal, that was the same in the old policy. So if we do nothing, then the old policy would stand, and if that is the main concern, then it doesn't change with the new policy. So I'm going to ask that we hold to give those board members an opportunity to submit their recommendations versus I'm being very intentional and clear that the reason that this came forward is because the board had concerns with how the current policy was being implemented, and to make sure that current practice or our expected practice was codified through policy. So outside of that, we will hold. Board member time, Ms. Fabian.
Sorry. I just wanted to remind everybody that coming up in October is Bullying Prevention Month. So it's a time to be intentional, to spread kindness and be inclusive. And we heard some comments earlier today during public comment time. So I just want to also remind the public, especially our parents, that there is a link to our tip line on the front page of our website at wps60.org, where you can fill out a form anonymously should you choose to do so, or ask to be contacted, or that you can call the phone number 224-303-1166 to also report any situation that you don't feel comfortable reporting in person or talking to admin. I do feel it is unfortunate that there are some trust issues as it relates to that. But again, there are other supports and other ways that you can report any instances of bullying that you may be aware of. So, and just a reminder to our kids to just take the time to do one random act of kindness at least every day in October. And then also there is a college fair at the University Center of Lake County, so I'm reminding our high schoolers, it's open October 3rd from 5 to 7, where there are 12 universities and over 100 programs that will be available. And just one more thought on reminding parents that you don't have to wait for forums or curriculum nights or open houses to communicate with your teacher or your principals. Please reach out when you feel you have a problem, or if you just have a question. That's what they are there to do. If you're finding that you really have a concern, please follow the chain of command so that that concern can be elevated properly and you can get the supports that you need. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lindsay?
All right, I got a little bit of a list, guys. I want to thank the library representatives that came and provided these wonderful packets for us. There's a lot of great information and programs with the Waukegan Public Library. If you don't have your library card, please reach out to them to go ahead and get it, and you have to renew it every 2 years because it does expire. I've learned that the hard way. So I just wanted to formally thank them. With the bullying component, it's very concerning, where you feel like you're being bullied as a student and you go to a trusted adult and it's not being taken seriously. So I just want to reiterate to our staff, if you don't know how to handle suspected bullying, or when a student comes to you with instances of bullying, we need you to reach out to your instructional coaches. We need you to reach out to the social worker, with the principal, with MTSS, because it shouldn't be happening in our schools. We know it does happen, but our students should be believed, and we should take the necessary steps to make sure they're safe in our schools. I do want to also touch back to the SRO comment during public comment. Again, it was not because of a dollar number. There's principles tied into that decision. So to say that it was just due to money and now we're spending all of this money on conferences, in my opinion, was in bad faith comment. That was not the core of the situation. I also want to reiterate that we do have a community election. I haven't heard the board speak about it, but there's going to be board elections this coming April. So if you're wanting to be part of the board, please contact the county clerk's office. You can either go there to get a packet for signatures, or you can just print them off of offline. And then when I went through the process, there were multiple supports throughout the process to make sure all of your paperwork's in order. So if you're interested in joining us up here to make some big decisions that impact a bunch of little lives, that would be great. Just connect with the county clerk's office. In terms of activities, I got to go to the homecoming game. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very sad that we are not hearing Ghetto Bird. I've heard snippets of things, but I still don't understand. And like for me, it is Waukegan. Like I understand we have the school song. My generation didn't connect with it. It was very much, you don't know Ghetto Bird? Oh man. The marching band would come down the street and it didn't matter what clique or group or not group you were a part of or not a part of. Everybody was just resonated, and it just, the atmosphere changed. It was great. So I'd like to kind of bring that back because that is Waukegan culture, at least for a good amount of time. Maybe it skipped past you. Oh, that might be why. Got it. So yeah. I also attended the grading policy town hall, and I agree with the sentiments that it really needs to be more of an exchange instead of a panel with pre-listed questions. I get the pre-listed questions, so if that's the format, I think more than an hour is needed so that you can have a chunk of time for the panel to essentially, with predetermined questions, get across points that are informational to the community, but still allow enough time for the community to actively engage in the discussion. And then I was able to join the parade, the Hispanic Heritage Parade. It was great. It was a lot of fun. My kids loved it. So it was really nice to see the community come out for that. And the last component I have, as we're still in Hispanic Heritage Month, we do have the district gala on October 3rd at the Genesee Theater again at 5 p.m. So please attend that if you can. There's more grading policy town halls upcoming. It would be great to see that on the district website so families can have quick access, community members can have quick access as to when the next was. I went to the main page and I went to the calendar and it wasn't listed. That's my time.
I want to go back with some stuff. First, a clarification with the library, representatives in the paperwork. It to me it was misleading that 14 and older to get a card, even though we know that anybody could get a card, young students as well, but that needs to be clarified in there. Okay, I attended the homecoming game. I was a judge for the parade. It was a good parade, and I got a lot of candy too. Anyway, that was great. I am unfortunately our boys lost the football game, and hopefully we'll be doing better as the season progresses.
That was a really good team.
Yeah, they were good. But so is our boys too.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah. Anyway, I'd like to get some responses to some of the things that has been asked in previous meetings. Like, I'd like to know why the bleachers have been switched for the visiting team and the home team. I asked that, and they said were going to come back, but we never got an answer.
Something was sent to the entire board. It's in your email.
Yeah, we all did.
Got an email.
Email stating,
What happened? So if you want to go back to that email, Ms. Anna.
what happened?
If
I
you wanna
mean,
continue.
I don't know what.
Yeah, so it's a long email. So I would rather, due to the hour, if you want to go through your comments, and then you can go look at that email and it'll
I'll forward it
explain
to you so it's at the
No,
top.
but I look at my emails all the time. I didn't see that.
Okay, so we'll make sure that you get it.
And I'd like to know about the dropping enrollment in the district and the impact that that's going to have on our school-based funding, and also I'd like to get an update on how things are going at Brookside. I hear it's going good, but I'm also hearing that they are still having some conflicts over there. And also I'd like to find out what is the resolution for the greenhouse that was brought forth for Oakdale, and if what are we looking to do about that? And so hopefully we can get some answers. I don't know if it's interesting to the other board members, but it is interesting to me. And I'd like to get some answers for those.
Thanks.
The bleachers, the dropping enrollment, the update on Brookside, and the greenhouse.
Thank you. Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes, I just want to remind everyone that October 2nd is our Pasta and Pops concerts. If you haven't bought your ticket yet, please do so. Terrific chance to see our choirs and bands, orchestras, and our students do just a fabulous job, and the food is great. So October 2nd, 5:30 or 7:30. Is that correct? Thank you.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond a little bit about the library card situation. Yes, you at any age could get a library card, but if you're under 14 years old or not yet in high school, you need a parent or a guardian with an ID. And that's important because they need to recognize you, but also to prove your residency, because the library is open to everybody, but your library card depends on you living in Waukegan, supporting Waukegan. The other thing I wanted to say, because there's been a lot of beautiful events that have been going on the last 2 weeks, and many more upcoming, is just to remind students that students, staff, all of our community, that when we have these amazing events, you are representing Waukegan. Oftentimes our students are representing Waukegan High School, and so when situations come up, younger kids know about it, community members worry about it, and so just remember that we want you all to be successful, do well, have fun, but that comes with a lot of responsibility and knowing when not to play around, especially when it involves a lot of folks. So just to continue acting on your best and representing Waukegan the best when those things happen, because we really, really do want to celebrate y'all. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yes, so thank you to the board as well as our student board members. Really appreciate you guys sitting through our meetings as well as updating the board on the progress. I know you guys had a lot of recommendations during your first report, and being able to start to see that some of those things have already been corrected. Continue to speak up and speak out, and we're super glad to have you guys on the team. With that, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, Ms. Fabian, seconded by Mr. McBride. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.